I'm happy to introduce our speaker this morning, Randy Weekly. He is the Vice President of Software Development at ImageSource, and his responsibilities include the development and delivery of the iLinks product suite. Randy has spent the last 25 years working in research, systems architecture, and technical leadership positions, and has a wealth of knowledge in the ECM field. His experience covers a variety of technical and industries, from the space shuttle guidance, navigation, to control analysis at NASA, to GIS and satellite imagery at GTE, as well as video conferencing system design at MCI. We're going to be taking your questions today in the chat function. You can see that probably on the right-hand side of your screen. And Randy will answer those questions after the demo, or actually, we won't have a demo today. You can also contact us on our social media outlets, such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, or you can always contact us on our ImageSource website. With that, Randy, I am happy to hand things over to you.
All right. Thanks, Kim. And thanks, everybody, for taking time out of your day to spend with us. We're really excited about that. Our topic today is accounts payable automation. And we'll start by talking through some of the top challenges in and around the payables process. We'll talk about why it's important to address these challenges today, and we'll define a set of goals that'll kind of be our straw man for developing an effective approach to tackling some of these challenges. Then we'll get practical, and we'll talk about some of the different levels of automation and what they look like, and the technologies that can be applied to those levels to support these automation processes. And then I'll tell you about a recent customer success story, and we'll do some Q&A. So let's talk about a few of the things that can make AP so challenging, and this is by no means a complete list, and you may not even have pain around some of these particular areas, but in many cases, your payables content is going to be generated outside of your company, or at least outside of your accounts payable department. So most of the time, you have very little control over the format of this inbound information, these invoices and whatnot. And maybe you don't even have control over your employees' expense receipts that are coming in. Also, the different mechanisms by which the content arrives into your organization implies a different starting point within the AP business process. For instance, an EDI 810 invoice is going to start further downstream in the business process than, say, a paper invoice that comes in an envelope. Paying bills is fairly complicated, and it has a number of challenges. Different types of transactions require different processing, different approvals. And if you've gone through a merger or acquisition recently, you've probably had some significant changes to your AP environment. Enforcing document retention regulations can be a real challenge, especially if you're still dealing with paper. And certainly, paper-based processes offer very little visibility into outstanding payables. And just because there's automation doesn't necessarily mean that you have the right amount of visibility either. And this lack of visibility decreases your ability to measure the process and make good decisions. And like the old saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And there are quite a few stakeholders in these processes. And these players both need and want different information and different levels of visibility into the payables process. Now let's look at this a little more quantitatively. The Aberdeen Group recently did a survey to find the key market drivers for automating accounts payable processes. And not a real shock, the top driver at about 36% of the respondents was addressing the difficulties with paper in the AP processing. Now, this isn't surprising, neither is it hard to imagine that paper would negatively impact other parts of the AP process. But even companies that use electronic content still have trouble often efficiently reconciling accounts and paying on time, effectively handling exceptions. And these upstream challenges are definitely going to make it more difficult to take advantage of early pay discounts. In another 2013 Aberdeen Group study, they found that 31% of the respondents cited growth in their transactional volumes would be a key driver in enhancing their accounts payable process. Now, of course, competition is always going to be a factor, as is managing expenses. And we'll show some hard numbers in just a few minutes around how drastically different payables process maturity levels can directly impact costs. Many of us know and love Sarbanes-Oxley and the Patriot Act and Check 21 and others, and it's likely next year we're going to see some additional regulations, certainly if you touch the healthcare industry. But the good news is that there are new or additional solutions that are available today that can help you improve your payables efficiencies. So let's kind of turn these challenges into opportunities and organize them into a few key goals. So our first goal, let's talk about, is visibility. The AP department, and by AP I mean both payables and receivables, is essentially the custodian of an organization's cash flow. And if visibility into either one of these two core functions is clouded or obscured, it negatively impacts an organization's ability to accurately forecast its financial position. Another goal is improved productivity. Now, some of the productivity goals are going to be kind of soft, but the reduction of cycle times is a very quantifiable metric that you can assign hard dollar cost savings to. Increasing customer and trading partner satisfactions with smoother payment processing and more fluid communications, those are going to enhance productivity. And enhancing operational productivity is also going to increase your capacity to handle growth in the future. Now, more effectively managing risk, this is another key objective here, and more regulations just make mistakes more costly. And proper automation can reduce risk by improving process repeatability and control. It can reduce errors, it can automate the proper handling of the process through repeatability and control. And this is also going to reduce risk. Now, reducing errors is also very important, eliminating bad data and very costly rework. Wouldn't it be a fantastic goal that there are no more lost invoices? You can reduce or eliminate late payments or incorrect payments. And all of these goals are really drivers that will lower your cost per invoice, which is really one of the most quantifiable metrics in payables. So I'm sure that these goals made sense to everybody here on the call, but how much can you honestly achieve by streamlining the payables process, by automating the payables process? And the information on this slide comes from another payable study that was done earlier this year by Aberdeen Group. And it found that best-in-class automation for accounts payable can deliver up to 80% lower invoice processing costs. It can deliver up to 75% faster invoice processing times and nearly 8 times as many early pay discounts. Now, the most efficient companies can achieve a cost of process in the order of $3 to $4 per invoice. So if we do some quick calculations here, if an average lagger were to move from the laggard category on the bottom up to the best in class, even if they just process 250 invoices a week, on average, that would save them, this moving from laggard to best in class, about $240,000 a year in invoice processing costs. If they did 500 invoices per week, they could achieve almost $500,000 in savings a year. And if they were processing 1,000 invoices per week, this could mean almost $1 million per year in savings. Not to mention the additional savings that they will get from early pay discounts that they can grab and reduce resource costs. So you may be very familiar with these types of payable metrics, or you may find these findings and numbers somewhat startling, but either way, I think you'll agree there really is something to this automation concept. So let's drill down a bit into the actual details. As ImageSource has been working with customers over the last almost 20 years, we found that most of the time customers fall into one of 3 basic levels of payable process automation. And the first level, these groups tend to capture paper to image. Now typically this is a centralized capture type of process. And this can be pre-process, or before the accounts payable process starts, or it can be after processing, so more of an archival type solution. In this first level, it's typically just minimal index values that are applied to the invoices. They can leverage basic lookups to improve efficiency during the index capturing process and improve accuracy. Some of the customers employ some content enablement so that you can deliver the digital images into a line of business system or process. And going forward, they'll manage this content. They'll audit access to this and ultimately dispose of the content based on some automated retention rules. Now, if we move into the second group, this second group will take much, if not all, of what the first group does, but apply some additional capabilities. And our best practices for accounts payable is to scan and capture all received paper invoices, credit notes, etc., as early in the process as possible. And so here they'll do some basic validation on this inbound information. These would be tasks such as checking for duplicate invoices. So vendors get a bit overzealous sometimes. They'll send the same invoice through multiple channels just to try to increase the chances that their invoice will be paid more quickly, which of course causes problems on our side. In this group, we see AP personnel keying invoices from a digital image of the invoice into the financial system as opposed to keying it from paper. And then workflow will typically pull a full set of invoice information metadata from the financial system somewhere downstream. So they're keying a single time from the image into the ERP system and then automatically pulling that information and associating with that invoice so that it can be discovered later and support of other lines of business around that invoice. Now, if we move into the third group, this is the full accounts payable automation here. And we see things like workflow pushing tasks out to buyers and approvers anywhere in the organization. These solutions often provide mechanisms for two-way and three-way matching, for automated routing, for simple single or multi-level approvals, and coding of the invoice. The workflows often include advanced exception handling, routing to specialists, and even automated supplier notifications. And the full automated solutions often will insert the invoice into the financial system at the end. Now, these full automation solutions may sound may sound too good to be true, but honestly, full automation solutions are not simple and require a fair investment. But they are definitely possible, and the returns for those willing to invest in these types of solutions can be significant. So our customers often end up with some type of process that looks like this diagram. Now, today I'll be talking about how we've implemented this type of accounts payable automation using the iLinks product suite, but ImageSource has a vast experience in delivering AP solutions using other industry-leading products such as Kofax, IBM FileNet, and Oracle. So first in this process, invoices and related documents are captured, and this can be captured from paper or electronically through email, for instance. The documents are sorted into relevant categories, and this can be done manually or can be done automated using barcodes or some type of point of origin human interaction. Now, if you're not using an automated data extraction, then some amount of metadata is typically applied at this point. And again, this can be manual or this can be read from barcodes, but it's usually just at the header level for the invoice. Now, step 2 is optional. And here documents can be automatically classified and relevant information can be extracted even down to the line item detail. So this would be something like can be done with the iLinks Advanced Capture product. Invoices are now sent on into the workflow, which is step 3. These processes are highly tuned per organization, so no two of these workflow solutions are really going to be the same. And this is a area of high complexity, but also the area of high return on investment. And it can include things like approvals, matching, exception handling, and even the auto insertion of the invoice, as we mentioned earlier. Now, step 4, invoices are put into a content management product for archival, for retention management, and for reuse by accounts payable and other lines of business within the organization. Now, we've labeled this as step 4. Honestly, this could happen at any time after the document's captured. And using a product such as iLinks Integrate in step 5, knowledge workers can access contextual transactional content without even leaving their line of business software interface. So let's walk through some of these components in a bit more detail. So we'll start back up at Capture. Now, iLinks Capture provides support for all levels of document capture. This is ad hoc to production levels. It's a completely web-based application. It's so simple to use that it minimizes your training, but yet powerful enough to handle your growing transactional content volumes. Now, you can use Capture centrally or use it in a distributed model to cut shipping costs. You can onboard virtually any format of content and let iLinks Capture convert everything to a common image format. You can even capture emails directly from within your Outlook application. So these types of benefits help us to achieve our productivity goals that we talked about earlier. Now, you can also automate extraction and separation of documents using barcode technology. And this is often done for expense receipt processing. And with iLinks Capture, you can perform lookups and validations against your financial systems or your vendor master files. This is going to speed this indexing process and reduce keying errors. And all of these capture capabilities are going to help reduce your errors within your payables process. And finally, iLinks Capture's built-in reporting and auditing will not only add visibility into the process, but it also helps manage our risk more effectively. So let's go back up to our diagram here. That was number 1. Let's now talk about 2, advanced capture. So like the old saying goes, people make mistakes, but to really screw things up, you need a computer. And it's kind of funny until it happens to you or it happens to your financial process. And anybody that's telling you that they can put an invoice on a scanner and minutes later your financial system will spit out a check is probably not painting a completely realistic picture. However, there are some incredible opportunities to streamline the payable process using a solution like Intelligent Capture, like iLinks Advanced Capture. So the sophisticated iLinks Capture product delivers very accurate, highly accurate document classification and extraction capabilities. And this goes beyond just header level information for the invoice, but also includes invoice line item detail. iLinks Advanced Capture does not require a configuration for every invoice, but spending even just 5 minutes to train the system for your top suppliers will allow it to deliver exceptional extraction rates. Manual keying of invoice header and line information is very costly. So automating this part of the process is clearly going to be a huge productivity improvement. Now, additionally, iLinks Advanced Capture can also perform automated lookups and validations against your financial system, even applying business logic such as detecting duplicate invoices. These capabilities can significantly reduce downstream processing errors. Let's go back to our diagram here. That was number 1 and number 2. Let's talk about workflow now. Workflow specifically is only as good as the rules that tell it what to do. So creating valuable AP solution takes a lot of effort and a deep understanding of how accounts payable actually works. With iLinks Capture Workflow, we provide a very powerful platform on which just about any type of solution can be configured. And this means flexibility such as very simple single-level approvals, multi-level approvals, 2-way and 3-way matching against the PO or receiver. You can do some advanced exception handling where you're routing out to AP specialists. How are you going to handle duplicate invoices, vendor maintenance, missing W-9s, incorrect site information. Keying and coding from the image back into your financial system. This might even include a custom coding form that's outside of your financial system. And very sophisticated solutions will be able to insert that validated invoice directly into your financial system. iLinks Capture Workflow is easy to adjust to meet changing business needs. We talked about a lot of merger and acquisition activity going on in the last decade, and so if you've been involved in any of that, it's very likely that your accounts payable environment has changed. And these capabilities are really at the heart of AP automation solutions and are key to optimizing productivity. Now, a concrete workflow also provides, in addition to visibility into individual payments, it provides a great visibility into your overall outstanding payables. And achieving our goal for risk management is going to be far easier when we have very good control. We can audit virtually every step in the workflow of our payment process. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3. We've moved from capture to advanced capture for intelligent extraction into our workflow. Now let's talk about what we do with this content long term. So if you're still using a paper-based process, or maybe you're putting the digital images directly into your ERP system or financial system, that's going to make it hard to achieve, or at least to optimize several of our goals. So, one of our goals is to reduce errors. Using iLink's Content Store, you can manage transactional content very easily in a secure, user-friendly, enterprise-level repository. And this delivers rich metadata management, which makes searching and discovering content much easier. You can combine these tools in different ways for different groups within your enterprise to fine-tune their user experience. And that just really helps knowledge workers be able to get to the information that they need very quickly to do their jobs and make better, more informed decisions. Now, if I'm an iLink's Content Store user and I'm looking at an invoice record, I can literally click on a single button and see all other contextual content associated with this invoice or this transaction, including things like shipping documents, buying agreements for the supplier, any correspondence that has occurred between my supplier, credit debit memos, etc. And these documents can also be found and leveraged throughout my organization, not just within accounts payable. So this is a big win towards our productivity goals. Now, typically retention for invoices is 7 years. If you're in a more regulated industry, it's likely that you have additional retention rules for other types of transactional content as well. iLink's Content Store can automate all of your content retention management tasks with very flexible rules that direct the disposition of content based on the individual document metadata values. You can also obfuscate account information, account numbers, contact information on invoices and other transactional content so that other lines of business don't have access to sensitive information that they shouldn't be accessing. And these features really are hard requirements for risk management. Okay, we've done 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let's talk about integrating this content throughout the organization. So connecting contextual content to your systems of record ensures that people have access to all available information that's out there. It's getting the big picture, if you will. And with iLink's Integrate, you can easily content enable virtually any web-based or desktop software application. And this allows users to focus on the business tasks without having to worry about where to go or how to find information they need to do their job and make the best decisions possible. And these content enabling configurations are actually done with zero coding and deliver a loosely coupled integration that's going to survive upgrades, whether it's your ERP system, your CRM system, or some other system out within your enterprise. And this means in most cases you won't even need to engage IT or external services to leverage this content within your business applications. So by automating the payables process, you can decrease your per transaction costs, especially for the roughly 10% or so of exceptions that go on that can account for over half of your AP processing costs. You can cut processing times to grab more early pay discounts and reduce or eliminate late fees. You can add repeatability and visibility into your payment process so you can actually measure what's going on and further fine-tune your operations. And you can enhance your risk management, and you get that almost for free during this automation enablement. You can optimize productivity and transactions per FTE to allow you to grow your capacity without adding additional staff. You can reduce paper shipping and handling costs, of course. You can cultivate better relationships with your suppliers and customers. And you can enable your workforce to make the most informed decisions possible with instant and easy access to enterprise information and contextual transaction information. Now, you don't have to boil the ocean with all of this stuff. You can build your payables processing maturity over time. You can start with a quick win, you can fine-tune your strategy, and then move forward with additional automation. So I want to share a recent real-world customer success story with you, and this is around accounts payable automation. This is National Frozen Foods, and they're using iLinks Capture across multiple departments within their organization. They provide distributed capture with centralized processing for accounts payable. So at National Frozen Foods, they have several remote facilities. They manufacture agricultural products. These plants are miles apart. They're in multiple states. Invoices come into those remote facilities. They're scanned there remotely and then routed via workflow back to their central accounts payable processing group for approvals and final payment processing. Now, several key attributes of iLinks have allowed them to accelerate their business. For one thing, there's no paper shipping delays and costs associated with moving the invoices from those remote facilities to the central payment processing center. And information is immediately visible throughout the organization. Now, some of the information is actually captured at the remote sites. Some is applied centrally. iLinks routes to engage just the right knowledge worker to apply that information. And these new efficiencies have allowed them to take many more early pay discounts than they have been able to take in the past. And as well, National Frozen Foods has also been able to leverage the iLinks technology to accelerate other departments within their organization. Now, this slide has just a few of our other customers that we've worked with over the years to automate aspects of their accounts payable business. But there are many more customers that we've partnered with to streamline other areas of their business as well. So we've talked about the needs, the benefits, and the technologies that are available to move you in the right direction. But driving to one of these best-in-class payables organizations isn't as simple as sparking up a shopping cart full of software. So this is often a very challenging transition, and different elements of automation are going to provide varying degrees of efficiencies from company to company. So it's really critical that you partner with an organization that has decades of experience working through these types of payable transition processes. An organization that knows how to analyze, design, and implement the most appropriate automation strategy, that can deliver solutions based on industry best practices, and has the knowledge to seamlessly integrate this automation into and leveraging existing systems and processes within your organization. Now, ImageSource has a specific consultation process dedicated to this purpose called the ECM Ecosystem. Now, as I mentioned, ImageSource has been implementing solutions for nearly 20 years across the world to hundreds of customers. And these solutions include not just the iLinks product suite, but also Oracle, IBM FileNet, Kofax, and other technologies that are objectively selected to best meet your current and future needs. Now, using our unique ECM ecosystem methodology, we can help you craft the optimal automation strategy for your organization. And this methodology starts with in-depth interviews with your key stakeholders, lines of business groups, and IT groups. Next is a comprehensive analysis to identify lines of business that are currently underserved by existing content management or automation technologies. Then we'll work with you to craft the perfect automation strategy and phased implementation plan for your organization. And finally, we'll co-present all of these final presentations with you to your management. So whether you're on an end-of-life version of the Oracle imaging product and solutions, or you're really just getting started with payables automation, this proven methodology can help define realistic strategies to drive significant process improvements into your AP process and even throughout your organization. So that's it for the presentation. Let's open it up now for some questions.
The first one is, what ERP systems have you integrated with?
Well, historically, we have done a lot with PeopleSoft, Oracle E-Business Suite, JD Edwards, some Epic, some Banner, but really the point is that it doesn't really matter. Now, the level of sophistication of your automation can be limited in some ways depending on which financial system you're using and our ability to be able to talk to it. But in reality, things like content enablement, it doesn't matter what system you're using. And most of the automation and workflow that goes on, we can do with any system.
How well do these products work outside the U.S.? So like foreign languages, invoice formats, etc.
Well, and that's going to depend on the level of automation that you want to go to. So when it comes to extracting line item information from an invoice, the iLink's advanced capture solution supports, I don't know the number off the top of my head, well over 100 different languages. So capturing that information is certainly possible. And the iLink's products right now are English only, but it will handle any type of even double byte information flowing through the system. And then a lot of our industry-leading partners, such as Oracle and Kofax and FileNet, would have solutions that we could also explore to, if you needed enhanced different language types of solutions.
Do you recommend building the processing logic in an external workflow or inside the ERP system? For example, PO to invoice matching.
Oh, that's actually a great question. And having been at Oracle for the 6 years or so, we worked very closely with the ERP groups, and that was actually one of the questions that they would always ask us as a creator of AP automation solutions is, why aren't you using the built-in workflow? And really it comes down to what type of process are you trying to automate, and does it involve business processes outside the ERP system? For instance, you know, our best practices starts with capturing the invoice and transactional information immediately when it hits the organization, and that means even before the ERP or financial system is aware of that invoice. So in those cases, it's very important to have external workflow. Now, when you get into doing things like two-way and three-way matching and approvals, if the ERP system that you're using has a competent workflow, like many of them do, then our best practices would be really to surround and complement the ERP system, not to replicate the workflow and the business logic that's already provided within your ERP system. And all of this really would come out during an ECM ecosystem engagement, where we work with you to understand what your goals are and understand what your existing infrastructure looks like, and how to best meet those goals.
Again, contact us on our website or social sites, or you can contact Randy directly. He's got his email address up there as well.